Turn to port massively there. Really should have predicted this long ago. Slow down our speed because we can see a torpedo on this line over here. Hello and welcome everyone back to War on the Sea. Hopefully in for an exciting episode today. We are on day 17 of our US campaign and we have now got a new Atlanta back into our Battle Force 1, which has been renamed the Hammer after enduring quite a few battles as well as bombarding certain bases, and the aim of this expedition today is to bombard both Guadalcanal and the Florida Islands to remove those airfields from them so that we don't have to worry so much about the enemy radar over here and of course air cover. Also, while going for these two main bases over here, we're hoping to catch some sort of IJN task force there, whether it's supplies, carrier, battleship. We'll see what happens. We have no idea what's over there. We will be scouting that a little more accurately and more forcefully in the future. In fact, what we're going to do is just send out very quickly some Lightnings armed just with their basic armaments over here to support our task force there. They won't have a lot of endurance once they get over there. In fact, it's going to use roughly half their endurance just to meet our task force, but that's not to worry so much. Can we launch anything else from here? Don't know if we should launch any float planes or any Catalinas or Mariners from Santa Cruz and such, simply because they'll just get shot down by supporting Zeros and such from these bases. What we might do is actually recall one of these Kingfishers over here, and then we can send that over to the Florida Islands and such. Do we have any spare Kingfishers here? We certainly do. So we're going to very specifically order these Kingfishers just to scout ahead over in this area, and that'll do just fine there on a repeated scout mission. So that's the plan for today, and see what we can hunt, I think. Yeah, and already we have scouted a possible carrier task force. So I was not quite quick enough on the draw. We did sight something denoted as a battleship task force patrolling around here, so we do have to be wary of that. Let's go straight in and see what we've sighted over here, shall we? Hoping it's a carrier. Really, I do want to chase one down and actually sink one in a service engagement. Does possibly the Hio task force we saw previously? No, it's an Unryu once again. Escorted by a Tenryu over there, Sendai I believe over there. What else do we have? We have an Alba at the rear and of course a few destroyers once again. Do have some Zeros coming in, unfortunately. We'll be fair and I say let them shoot us down. Could certainly choose a retreat here. But that's all good. We've got Kingfishers to spare. It's all fine. It's all fine. Let's get through this. But so that is something to mark up, and it's a very important carrier to sink the Onryu. It does have a very nasty amount of fighters and such, and attack aircraft, and that nasty armoured deck does mean just horrible overall, really. So don't need to mark this up. We know it's roughly over here. It could well be retreating to the north there. Well, it's looking like we have been sighted already by some enemy Zeros, so the carrier does know we're about. Not entirely sure what they're going to try and hit, so long as it's not a destroyer, because of course the Zeros won't have the largest of bombs, but we are going to try and turn out with a few destroyers here and such on this side. Not so much with the battleships, not a lot we can do with the battleships, such a massive target for these bombs. We are certainly trying to fire out on them. It looks like they are going for our battleship, unfortunately, but we should be able to shrug off most of this firepower. In fact, I think we will just increase our speed here and turn out a bit harder. A bit late for that particular drop. It looks like the enemy is going for, we do have a Kingfisher in the area, and there we go, there are the bomb hits. So again, nothing too major there, only a couple on the belt and such, but all fine there. But we need to watch out now for how we're turning out, because we don't want to hit our own formation. This Kingfisher probably should come round and come into the flak cover of our ships, because just getting distracted to these Zeros. I think what we'll do is we will once again just form up into battle line as we were. It shouldn't be too difficult there. But they will shoot down our Kingfisher, unfortunately. But we should be able to get something with our flak as they move around. Well, with our Kingfisher down, some of these zeros are returning for a bombing run by the sea. Sounds of it. They do have their bombs attached. We are focusing our flak into this group over here. We are turning around, or trying to turn around a tad, to get some air guns firing. Looks like they're going for our battleship again, so we're just going to have to increase our turn over here. And do what we can. Looks like they have. Have they already dropped? No. Okay, well, what are they going for then? That's very interesting. Possibly this destroyer over here. Let's turn out. Have downed one of the zeros over here. And that small arms will certainly help. Have they dropped? No. Okay, rather interesting. Just fancy a fly over us then. Well, we'll try and down this one more zero over here. See what happens. But the others are retreating. We'll see what happens with this Jake as well, because it wouldn't be a bad idea to shoot down as many scouts as possible. Of course. What are we doing over here? We're evading hazards. Not too sure, but we weren't able to get that down. You know what? I think we're just going to retreat out before we cause damage to ourselves here and carry on with our advance to Guadalcanal there. And on our approach to Guadalcanal, we do have some nails. Looks like they're armed with torpedoes here and some Donryus armed with bombs. Our lightnings are now in the engagement zone, but they're going to be very, very late to the party. So we're going to try and focus our flak onto the Donryus, I think. We'll take off the auto fire for everyone. And just make sure we do issue that. We have issued smoke for everyone, and what we'll do is we will start turning. We're going to have to turn into them a little. We'll increase our speed where possible. The lightnings looks like they are largely going, or a lot of them are going for the nails over here, so they are already diving. And that's ideal. So the lightnings should be, or certainly are a lot faster than the nails. Let's double check what speed they are set to. Should be quick enough for them. Let's increase speeds across the board though, because we just can't be quick enough to intercept the enemy there. That's just the truth of it. And with that done, we can see the Donryus coming in here. I would expect them to go for one of our larger ships here. With our smoke up, we can't even see exactly what they're targeting, but I'd imagine it's a Northampton, so we are going to turn as hard as possible with this. This is the leading ship, so hopefully our formation follows behind that as much as it can. Not getting anything obvious, no obvious hits to begin with. That's the sad part. Lightning's certainly not going to get in before the enemy drops. They haven't dropped just yet. That would suggest they're going for another ship. Maybe our lightnings will get in. We have downed one with our flak, which is excellent, and another, and just dropped just before they were shot down, which is rather unlucky there. So what are they going for? That's the question. See the plane there dropping. Possibly. Looks like they did actually go for a battleship. You can see the bomb, the splash there. We didn't take any damage from that, very luckily. So just have to watch out for our formation here. Don't get any collisions as the lightnings shoot down the nails, which would be excellent if they could. Should also be getting some flak out towards that. I will direct that more there. Where's that going though? Can't even see our own ships. Just watching out. No idea what's going on with our formation there. Should be following the Northampton. We haven't ordered anything else to move more specifically there. But that didn't manage to drop, so we are just going to leave. There's no more planes about. There is a scout, but we don't need to worry so much about that. Let's leave. 6 out of 7 down. Excellent stuff. We have noticed something denoted as a cruiser task force coming up over here, but we don't have any spare planes available. The Atlanta, unfortunately, doesn't carry any. So we're not going to recall any, I don't think. Lightning's how you're doing. Do have a few kilometers left, so we'll just send them ahead to scout ahead and see if we can spot exactly what that is. We do have a lot of command points in out of nowhere, and that's because we have actually been reimbursed some dockyard ships, and that did include a South Dakota. We're going to wait for this Portland to ready up, I think, and then we'll send out another task force with the battleship, I think. So we do have a couple fairly decent task forces roaming around of our own. And that means we're not, of course, subjected to the one focal point here, going backwards and forwards. Well, it appears that cruiser task force was in fact closer than we imagined. I would love to have the lightnings about right now. We did, of course, send them off to scout ahead, but that means they're not available to shoot down these incoming Mavises and possibly even strafe the destroyers we have in this task force. We've not taken the time to identify everything, but we have issued some firing orders. Have some destroyers going to fire off some torpedoes in the general direction, but we have the destroyers on flak orders for the incoming Mavises here. We should be okay to swap those down before they drop. They will spend a long time diving down towards us. We're going to, of course, move our formation port side and turn around and kite away as much as we can. We do have a Kumagara we're going to fire at later on. We do have a Tonne we're firing at with the Northampton and North Carolina. And we are going to fire it with our New Orleans onto the Takao in the rear over here. And there is a Fubiki at the rear as well to watch out for. So we're going to press play. The range is so far 13 kilometers away. Double check the range of our torpedoes actually. Certainly in range there, just about, so we are of course closing. We are holding with our torpedoes, you can see we're just getting them at the angle. Looks like we're not actually firing out with our flak, which is rather interesting. I think we will certainly try for that then. Just tell that to attack there. Elliot can do the same, like so. You can see that they're not actually going round. The turrets aren't moving for that. Guess our destroyers onto the planes, and that should do for now. Like so. Yeah, you can see they're already firing off like that. It's already smoking a tad. I think what we'll do is we will get some smoke out to begin with from everyone, just to help out there a tad. Unfortunately downed a scout rather than the Mavises incoming. There's one down. Come on, that'd be great. Just one more, just the one more before they drop would be amazing. And there we go. So what we're going to do is we are going to target out the towards the Shiratsu and leading destroyers over here, I think. Fire out like so. Get everyone, all the destroyers over like so. Summers can fire onto the Kagero, please. We do have a decent solution on that. That does suggest it is actually a Kagero rather than in Sasha or Yugamo. We are actually targeting that as well. So let's guess on that. North Carolina should have a decent solution, so we are going to fire. What are we doing? Are we guessing any shots that they are probably still travelling there? Yeah, getting some near misses. That's not so bad. They are actually going at a fairly slow speed, so I think we're going to hold out over here and get some battleship shots manually fired at this Tonne to begin with. We are going to get a manual fire out with our torpedoes towards the general formation over here. We'll fire out in this direction, learning from previous mistakes. Of course, the Atlanta does have some torpedoes of its own, so when that's giving a broadside, we will fire out. Should be firing out onto that Shiratsu as well. Let's get back to the North Carolina. That should have reloaded. It certainly has reloaded. Let's move in then over here. It's actually going very, very slowly this Tonne, so just aim at the nose there to begin with. And that has actually fired out a full broadside there. Getting some very nice shots onto this Shiratsu already. It is smoking, which is very nice indeed, but we do have some fire and flooding onto the Russell here. Which position is that? That has fired off some torpedoes of its own. We'll get the Atlanta to fire out some as well. Let's go for manual fire in this direction here. We'll get some from the Summers as well. We will go towards their head there. How are we doing with this Tonne? Looks like we did get some sort of near miss perhaps. It is smoking up from fires. There we go, I can see something coming in there. Lovely, that is going at a greater speed now though. That Russell's not looking great either, unfortunately. Fire normally there. We should, I think we're still on spotting fire as well with a lot of our ships. So what we're going to do is just take that off with these heavy cruisers, and we'll watch out for this Ellis. I'm not entirely sure why it's moving like this. We're going to turn that out then, because I don't want a collision. That would not be at all helpful. So over here. Yeah, getting some very near misses actually. So it looks like a decent hit actually, direct hit onto the midships over here on the Tonne. Wondering how these, yeah, it looks like all the guns are active. Just can't quite get the broadside they need. Looking over towards the Ellis as well, which has started to move a bit better there. In fact, what we'll do is we'll bring that just all the way around here, give that a wider space, increase its speed. Yeah, getting some very nice hits onto this Tonne now, which is excellent. In fact, looks like the number 4 turret is out of action there. We might try and look at getting some torpedoes off of the Lang as well. How's the Russell doing? Exactly, we need to move something onto the fires there. Looks like the depth charges are out, but that's not really too worried at the moment. It's more the rudder over here I'm worried about. Not liking the damage to the North Carolina either. Saying Lang has no valid solutions to the Shiratsu, which is rather interesting. Should be able to fire out some torpedoes over, take off the port side because they're not able to fire. Mangle fire out. Looks like they're trying to manoeuvre, so we'll go a little wider out here. How are we doing with North Carolina's solution? It's actually pretty damn decent. Tonne is actually probably not able to fire with all of our guns with our current facing, but that is actually rather slow now, so we give that something a little more precise there. Does look like it's turning out a tad. Probably not able to fire with all of our guns. What is our position looking like? Yeah, probably only the rear gun can fire there. But I think it's still probably best to get a full turn round, is it? Do we charge in with our heavy cruisers and battleship? Might be a decent idea. Let's have a quick think about that. I think we get the Ellet, Niblack and Mayo to line ahead if possible. Let's just make sure they're in definite formation there. Getting a lot of hits on our destroyers. I'm not expecting a lot of those to survive, unfortunately. So they can line ahead. What we'll do is we'll get the Russell. That's not really going to go at full speed, is it? It's 95% capacity. Get that to just full speed ahead once again. Massive turn around there. We'll get the Atlanta to turn in a tad over here if possible. The Summers, I think, can turn around for now. That is on fire. That is going to take a lot of damage on the way out there. We'll get some damage control onto the fire there. And we'll get the Northampton, North Carolina, New Orleans as such to line ahead. Like so. And then they can move up like this. Atlanta needs to be independent because it looks like it's trying to form up there. We'll just give them some more precise orders as they move out. That Takau's not taking a lot of damage either by the looks of it. Looks like the Tonne is pretty much dead in the water actually. Let's hold out there. So what we'll do is we will get some mangle fire onto the bow of the ship here when possible, and we will change the target of our heavy cruisers directly to the Takao because that does need a lot more damage going in there. How are we doing with the New Orleans actually? Pretty damn decent solution on that. Just need more fire out there, more firepower out there. Well, it's looking like our formation is finally tidying itself up, but now the Summers, as predicted, is coming under some heavy fire. Everyone else is actually getting the damage control sorted, so we are recovering, but I do think we might well lose the Summers if we can't do anything about this too quickly. Going to give that a more direct retreat order there, to be honest. Pullouts might... No, we're certainly not going to hit these torpedoes, unfortunately. That would be great because they are coming over towards the light cruiser. We might just catch a Shinatsu if it does retreat. Okay, over here we might just actually change our Atlanta too far towards this light cruiser. We will have to start broadsiding this direction though. So let's change that out over to this, and we will identify it as a Kuma to begin with. And that is simply because I like Kumas. Unfortunately, somewhat indistinguishable from a Nagara on this game, but that's not to worry. We'll watch the solution build and see if it changes as we go to Nagara here, actually. Might rise... Yeah, it's rising a bit quicker there, so that is actually Nagara. Hopefully be able to sync that. So it doesn't have the heaviest of armour, so the Atlanta with its massive volume of firepower should sort this out fine. Still not managed to down... Oh, this summer's not looking good over here. Really not looking good, but our damage control team's doing all they can. Unfortunately, still not properly sunk this Tonnes. Its guns are still active, so we are having to divert some firepower over there, just because if those guns are online, they will hurt us, of course. It's so unfortunate. It's just dead in the water, so we do have some mango aiming for that, but it's just straddling all the time, and that is rather frustrating. And of course, our torpedo's not really going to hit anything, unfortunately. But we're getting there, we're getting there. If we move in a tad with this formation over here, in fact the Tonnet is now sinking. It's of course succumbed to the flooding and fire that's on top of it, so we are going to get our battleship now onto the Nagara. So we'll hold off here to get a solution up, fire out with our secondaries, although our starboard side secondaries are currently out of action. We are trying to get our damage control teams onto there. These ships look like they're doing okay, so we're actually going to bring them up a tad now. Keep their speeds up, and actually what we'll do is we'll take off smoke, because that is hindering our own solution there. So we did, of course, predict that the fire would be more directed onto the Summers as we pulled up over here, but it's not to worry at the moment. We can certainly lose one destroyer if we have to. How are we doing with Takao though? That's the thing. Looks like most of its guns are out of action, but not that matters if they can't fire at us with its current position. Guns that can face us are able to fire, so we're going to hold out with our Northampton for now and see what happens. Looks like the torpedoes might have a chance of hitting this Nagara actually, which is very nice indeed. Possibly the Fubuki over here, that might just thread the needle though. Of course, those that have read the Bible know it is easier for a Fubuki to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a camel to. But what have we sighted there? Ooh, sighted enemy torpedoes in the water there. We are going to just turn out attack, because you can actually see more here. Turn out there. New Orleans actually turn to port massively there. Really should have predicted this long ago. Slow down our speed because we can see a torpedo on this line over here. We don't want to charge into that. How close are we there? How close? Takao sinking, 6 struck by dud torpedo. Oh, but that wasn't a dud torpedo on our New Orleans there. How we're looking with North Carolina. Just about dodged this torpedo over here. Northampton should be fine. That's rather unlucky there. So yeah, the 6 was a Fubuki, but it was dud. How are we doing with this New Orleans? Then we might just have to slow down to a halt here and let our damage control teams do their job. We have pretty much lost the front of our ship there. We haven't... Why are we not firing on anything? That's rather interesting. At least fire on the Nagara over here, please. Hold out over there, get the solution off. How are we doing with that though? Yeah, it's certainly taken a lot of damage now from our battleship and Atlanta. It does have torpedoes coming in for it, but they might well be duds as well. We will move our North Carolina out over here, and you know what, we'll get our Northampton to broadside a little harder as well, so we can get some shots off there. Rather an unlucky torpedo hit, but we should have seen that coming. Really should have seen that coming actually. We'll turn to port with this Lang actually, and then give it some orders away so it doesn't actually collide with any of our ships. We'll just move the Summers over here. How are we doing with these torpedoes? Just actually missing the Nagara there, which is rather unfortunate. Possible hit onto the destroyer behind it. We're not actually firing out with the North Cal, are we? So let's get that out. I just want to watch these torpedoes. Looks like it might just take one over here. Possible. How close is it? Nah, that's just about going to miss. We can see some torpedoes coming out from this ship now, actually. Fubuki, so we're going to have to watch out for that. It's actually very well sighted, that. Atlantis fired out some torpedoes as well. So, where do we think they're going? We might have to turn in with our North Cal for this and slow down our speed once again. Move in like this, and in fact we won't actually broadside with this Northampton now because of that. Lang can come round like so. New Orleans, how you're looking. On top of the damage as much as we can, but we do have some permanent flooding. Let's get this moving again then, because that is a sitting duck now. And we'll turn over here behind the Northampton, and we'll start firing on that Nagara. Ducal did start sinking in that period there of excitement. So how are we looking with this? Let's hold out. That Nagara should be down very soon. It's a bit unfortunate our own destroyers couldn't really take part in this battle because the firepower coming from their own destroyers. Can't actually sight that Shiratsu anymore. Where is it? Is it still about? Yeah, I've only sunk the Tone and the Takao so far. Shiratsu is on critical to moderate. How are we looking? Summer's on critical to critical. Certainly going to lose that. Damage certainly could have been worse on the New Orleans, but I think we're going to have to say goodbye to that just to make sure, because that is a lot of bow face and damage. Very narrowly missed our magazine, that did actually. Very, very narrowly indeed. Let's go over to the Nagara now. That is a sitting duck, so we're going to manually fire on that once again. Like so, go for the rear and centre if possible there. And with that being said, we're going to change our firing over here towards the Fubuki. Summers is now sinking. That's really not good. That's really not good. Don't like that at all. Let's fire out some HE, of course. New Orleans can fire out over here. Nagara is now sinking. Brilliant. So we'll try and down this Fubuki and Kagero, and then we will call it a day there. So we're going to fire out on the Kagero with our Atlanta. In fact, that probably needs to turn in a tad as well because of the possible torpedo threat. And of course we will fire out as well over to the Kagero with some HE. And that should be a done deal. And as we thought that was a done deal, it looks like the Russell is in a predicament here. It has sighted some torpedoes. Of course, those were the ones that did hit the New Orleans earlier. We're going to slow down here. Looks like we've just about evaded those, but the Atlanta's also sighted, I believe, the Fubuki's torpedoes we did actually see get launched, but just about turned away in time for that. Before we sighted those, just by chance, to try and get a broadside onto the Kagero over here, which is taking a lot of damage, but do need to make sure, of course, nothing else gets hit by these. So we're going to turn in with our Lang, turn away from that. Our North Cal should be fine here. We're going to increase our speed now just to get some manoeuvring easier. New Orleans, again, has lost some general compartments on its nose there. Nothing too major, so we might keep that in if we're very spicy. Certainly keep that to bombard, I think. But if we do find a engagement, that will have to run away, I think, because we are very cowardly. That Kagero is pretty much done for. We're not really getting any luck with our hits over here. We're firing AP for some reason with our Northampton. How are we doing with our solution over here? What's that? Kagero is finally sinking, so we'll just focus now onto the Fubuki over here and get that down as quickly as possible. Well, with that rather bloody battle down, we did actually have the Shiratsu escape on critical damage, so that's absolutely fine. I think, a couple heavy cruisers, light cruisers and such, traded for one Summers into very badly damaging Orleans. I think we can certainly take that as a decent victory there. That's another 8 ships down. The aircraft as well does mean that Guadalcanal should be open right for a bombarding. So we're going to do that, and I think that will be the end of the episode there. So that puts our total losses to 5 destroyers. Enemy losses is now a total of 27, which I would say is actually rather favourable, of course. So we're going to rush in, bombard Florida Islands and Guadalcanal and call it a day there, I think. And there we go, the hammer should now be in range to bombard Guadalcanal. Let's go for it. It certainly has been. Double check it, 0 airfield on there. Let's rush on over to the Florida Islands, like so, and bombard that one. Thank you very much. 0 airfield on there, and we are going to come back out. That's the end of that expedition, the glorious survey expedition there, and that will take 25 hours to come back to rearm, and we do need to send the New Orleans to repair, I think, just to be on the safe side there. Very close to actually guessing another bout of command points, so we might be able to wait around for another heavy cruiser there, and we'll be able to get out by then a new task force to run alongside that once the Portland has been done as well. So that's excellent, really. We're in a very favourable position now as far as bases go. So that is unfortunately all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. Very focused episode today, but got all of our goals done. So I hope you have enjoyed it. Please do leave your feedback in the comments section as ever. It's very, very helpful to read that. But in the meantime, I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.